I was searching the internet for articles about fluoride to use as an example to prove that we are being poisoned, and that the people responsible are fully aware of it. The first thing I found amusing was that, because I was on the library's Wi-Fi, I couldn't access the browser yandex.com. This experience reinforced why I generally dislike conducting research online. It has become almost impossible to find quality information. You have to sift through thousands of pages of copy and paste AI-generated content to find anything of value. I usually rely on physical books, but when I use the internet, I prefer to explore as many browsers as possible. Yandex, a Russian web browser, is one I like to use. I don't care where it's from. American news, politics, and education are so saturated with propaganda and misinformation that I suspect a Russian browser might actually provide more authentic information. If you're conducting research online, I highly recommend using every available resource. You'd think a library, of all places, would understand that concept. The first website I came across was https://www.clintonkidsdentist.com/fluoride-myths-and-facts, which addressed the following claim: myth or fact, studies show that fluoride causes low IQ in children. Fact. Yes, it's true. A study published in Environmental Health Perspectives suggests that prenatal exposure to fluoride can lower children's IQ scores. However, this study was conducted in Mexico, where naturally occurring fluoride levels in community water are higher, and fluoride is also added to salt. Other studies with similar results were conducted in areas with abundant naturally occurring fluoride, making them poor comparisons to our circumstances here. The ADA maintains that water fluoridation programs in the United States are effective and safe, concluding that this research is not applicable to American children. I love the part where they claim the research is not applicable to American children. Their reasoning? The naturally occurring fluoride levels in the tested areas were too high to compare to U.S. circumstances. Slow down there, buddy. I'm not talking about naturally occurring fluoride, the type found in our bodies, the ocean, and all over the earth. That would be calcium fluoride, which, as I've mentioned, is naturally occurring and not the issue here. The real concern is sodium fluoride. People often confuse these two types of fluoride, and I don't think many understand the vast difference between them. Sodium fluoride is nothing like calcium fluoride. They shouldn't even be in the same category. While calcium fluoride is naturally occurring, sodium fluoride is a toxic chemically manufactured poison. If you search on Google for how sodium fluoride is made, here's what you'll find. Neutralization: hydrofluoric acid or hexafluorosilicic acid is neutralized with sodium hydroxide or sodium carbonate. Separation: the solid sodium fluoride is separated from the remaining liquid. Drying: the sodium fluoride is dried into a powder. Sounds delicious, right? This definitely sounds like something I want to put in my body 3 times a day while brushing my teeth. Brush it in nice and thoroughly to get it into my bloodstream. Then, after spitting out that juicy poison, I can enjoy a refreshing glass of toxic fluorinated water. In my opinion, we do not need to be consuming this product, and I don't even need to get sinister for you to understand why. However, I will become sinister because I believe we have been massively undermined by the controllers of the world. Not only has our school system taught us nothing but lies, but we have also been drugged and poisoned since the 1940s when they started putting this stuff into everything. There is a reason why the controllers of the world want to add a chemical to your brain that calcifies your pineal gland and literally makes you give up. When your pineal gland becomes calcified and you lose the ability to reach Christ consciousness, you will never understand the truth, and you will never have a true relationship with Christ. Christ is not a man in the sky, not the Son of God that came down to earth to suffer for our sins and to die at 33, and be buried and rise again. Christ, as I have stated in so much of my work, is your inner God. It is true enlightenment. The story of the pineal gland and the oil it produces is incredibly fascinating. Like the ancient Gnostic teaching, as above, so below, this concept aligns perfectly with the idea of a physical process mirroring a spiritual one. The pineal gland produces a powerful sacred oil that has profound effects on consciousness. In ancient spiritual texts, This oil is referred to as Christos, a Greek term that means anointed and is linked to the word Christ. This sacred oil is said to travel through the body's central channel, the spine, which contains 33 vertebrae, often seen as a symbolic reference to Jesus' age at the time of his crucifixion. The process begins with the pineal gland producing an essence, or spiritual oil, which descends down the spine, interacting with the energy centers or chakras as it moves. Once it reaches the base of the spine, this oil or energy transforms, transmuting into a gas-like or subtle energy form. The next phase involves this transmuted essence rising back up through the 33 vertebrae. Later in this book I will explain how the entire story of Jesus can be told both in the sky and inside the body. It's not just a hairstyle. As I mentioned above, the pineal gland is a small pine cone-shaped gland. This is why when we look at a picture or statue of Buddha, his hair always looks like a pine cone. I actually had someone comment on one of my videos recently that the pine cone on the top of Buddha's head was a hairstyle and has nothing to do with the pineal gland. That comment made me actually laugh out loud in a public place. I hate to say this, and I am really not trying to be rude, but that comment sounds like a comment from someone with a calcified pineal gland. Reading a comment like this almost makes me wonder if your comment is a bot or a real human being. I know that sounds ridiculous, but in my head I find it impossible to believe that the creators of these statues and paintings were drawing a hairstyle and not bringing a potentially deeper meaning to the table. This statue is at the Vatican in Rome, it is. Not in a barber shop in Lawrence, Massachusetts. I find it incredibly hard to believe the Vatican would put a statue of Buddha up to highlight a hairstyle from the ancient days. That is such an absolutely insane concept, it is laughable to me. The Buddha at the Vatican is there for a reason, and it has nothing to do with hairstyles. The Vatican is filled with symbolism that, in my opinion, seems out of place in a Catholic church. Do you think the depiction of Buddha's hair is so significant that it was intentionally added to the statues at the Vatican? Or could it perhaps represent something of deeper substance?